Hey guys, wanted to welcome you back to the video series that I have on my BFL tournament finishes. Last year I did one of these series and I started out the year pretty strong on them. Didn't really follow through with it. I got awfully busy at work and I kind of let it fall by the wayside. But this year, brand new year. So we started out our year here at last weekend at Burt and Mullett. That is a lake chain on the very north end of the Lower Peninsula of Michigan. Right about there, just below the Mackinac Bridge. And it's two beautiful lakes connected by the Indian River. Took Lauren with me this week, so we rented a cottage on the south end of Mullett, and I spent 3 days of practice up there. I was able to locate quite a few fish. This is a very unique tournament, one we don't get to do every year. It's one I really like to do. You're looking for fish on beds, you're looking for spawning bass, and you're going from literally boulder to boulder and looking at it with this road cone looking thing with a glass bottom. We call it a flogger. You lean over your side of your boat, put that in the water, and you peer down at them. They could be as deep as 10, 11, 12 feet, and you'll see them down there spawning against a rock, and you can literally set up and catch that fish almost every time. It's a really cool deal. And it's just a fun way to fish. It's something I don't get to do very often, and I love at least trying it, although not always the best at it. I did okay this week. I didn't do great. I did okay. I caught 18.5 pounds, 18 pounds 5 ounces on my best 5, which pretty good for me there. It's not really all that good for a tournament finish there. I didn't make a check. It was just under 20 pounds to make a check, and it took just under 24 pounds to win it. So those guys, they really catch them. So it's hard to beat some of them up there. In my 3 days, I made a nice hit list. I had 2 pages of bass found on beds that I was going to run to. I kind of sectioned it out into areas of the lake that I was going to run to first, second, and third, and try and catch the biggest one from each area. What ended up happening in the actual tournament, I ran to the biggest area with the most beds and caught almost every one of them off of my hit list. Saw maybe 1 or 2 of them get caught. That could have helped me, but that's going to happen. And then I ran to the center of the lake, caught another one that really didn't help, and made a move to Burt Lake. And that was probably my downfall. I had a limit. It weighed, like I said, 18.5 pounds, and I went to Burt to catch some fish I had found late in my last practice day. Just some monsters over there. But I only had one little area with maybe 7 or 8 beds in it, and I couldn't start my tournament on that. So I went there as my second choice, and that was probably the wrong decision, because when I got there, every one of those fish had been caught. And I know who caught them. I watched them leave the area. And I came back over to Mullett. I had one more big fish I had located, and I think he was guarding fry instead of being locked on a bed, so he wouldn't bite either. So, but that was my tournament. It was a fun event. I really wish I would have stayed in Mullett and just looked for new fish for the rest of the day. But hindsight's always 20/20. I could have went over to Burt Lake and found 2 beds with fish on it that hadn't been picked off and came in with 21 pounds. Just the way it goes. It was fun, learned a lot, learned how to fish Burt, which was a big thing because I didn't know that before the beginning of this week. Fishes a little differently than Mullett, which is surprising. I'm happy I was able to do that, so maybe next year or next time we go there, I'll put that into practice. The last thing I kind of wanted to share with you guys, at work they have me in a Leadership Institute training series. And it's sort of developed leadership skills in some of the supervisors at work, and that's why I'm in it. But the interesting part to me is that one of the instructors is a trained sports psychologist. And I always hear about how bass fishing is 99% mental. And as a sports psychologist, this girl teaches you how to stay in the zone. And some of the things that she's taught I've thought were really interesting, and I'm going to try and incorporate them into these videos. Here on my first video, I'm going to kind of show you just the introductory strategies that I'm trying to put into practice with my fishing. Figure if I can incorporate these strategies into fishing, maybe they'll bleed over into work, I don't know, but maybe it'll make me a better fisherman. So the first thing I was going to try, or I am trying, It's called an affirmation. This is much like the old Saturday Night Live skit with Stuart Smalley, where he says, you know, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me. Well, an affirmation is where you have a self-directed saying, I am good at this, or I'm the best at this, to try and make yourself believe that. Once you read that every day and every hour, you begin to live that. And so, to me, I think one of my things I need to work on in fishing is I need to stop fishing history so exclusively sometimes. So I want to start fishing what they call the moment, and try and act on the information those fish are giving you that day based on the current conditions. In fishing, we call that fishing the moment, and so my affirmation is I fish the moment. I've written that on the front of my dash, right at my steering column. So I put it on a little post-it that sits right here. The second thing I've done is not really an affirmation, but more of a slogan or a motto. It's not really something we covered in the discussions of our class, but I thought it was very applicable, some sort of motivational slogan. And I kind of scabbed it from a friend of mine. His name is Foster. He's in the National Guard. And he's a co-worker of mine, been a friend of mine for years. He was in my office a couple of weeks ago, and he was telling me that in the Guard they have 3 basic skills on the battlefield, without which you are dead. He said you have to be able to shoot, move, and communicate. But you know what? Tournament fishing is my battlefield. So what are the 3 basic skills that I should have? Well, you got to be able to catch them, and you got to be able to move if you're not catching them. You got to move at the right time and make the right movements. And third, if you're not moving and you're not catching them, you better be evaluating what you're doing. So I kind of have my little theory of the 3 basic skills you need to have are shoot, move, and evaluate. And I wrote those on a little post-it just like that, and I put that up at the bow of my boat right next to the trolling motor, so that as I'm fishing and maybe I'm spending too much time on a spot or trying to figure out what I should do, I can look down at that little motivational saying and I can say, might be time to move, or what should I do next if I'm not catching? So that was kind of my thought on advancing my tournament fishing through the Leadership Institute training that I'm getting. Hopefully next time I can bring some more advanced techniques of leadership into this video series. Some of it's very applicable. It's been kind of cool. So anyway, guys, I will talk to you guys in a couple of weeks. My next tournament is with Alex Newman, my brother-in-law. I think we're fishing a Mega Bass Open on Lake Erie. We haven't put in the tournament yet, but pretty sure we're going to. And then after that, it's back to St. Clair for the BFL. The right time of year for St. Clair. I really like fishing at that time. Be a lot of fish caught. Hopefully I can catch a good bag. So anyway, guys, take care.